Okay, guys, Final Fantasy 16 first impressions time. If you're new here, I'm Dead Metal and Dead Metal Media, the biggest Final Fantasy aficionado this side of the Mississippi. And I've got my pre-ordered copy of Final Fantasy 16. I spent the last 2 days playing it, all so I could be the first person to tell you that the game absolutely sucks. If you're still playing Final Fantasy, there is something wrong with you. Something deeply rooted wrong with you. This franchise has had numerous attempts at relevancy, and it has failed every single one of them. Tell me, Final Fantasy fans, since there's so many of you, 10, what is so appealing about this trash JRPG series? It's certainly not the cringy dialogue that feels so stiff and wooden and like it was written by a 13-year-old edgelord who's never interacted with a female in his life. It certainly can't be the derivative and boring gameplay, the turn-based garbage that Pokemon does better. It certainly can't be the characters who are two-dimensional cardboard caricatures and leave me laughing, rolling on the fucking floor laughing at how unrealistic they are. It's certainly not the graphics that are stuck back in the 6th generation with the Xbox 360. It damn sure isn't the unmemorable music that I'm pretty sure they went on YouTube and just sourced from the free music library. Let me remind you, this is a franchise that has tried literally everything, right? We had your typical Final Fantasy turn-based RPG, all this bullshit, and then we saw them venture into MMO territory. They completely failed there. We all know World of Warcraft is the greatest massively multiplayer online video game to exist. Final Fantasy never stood a chance. Then they want to talk about a realm being reborn. Well, this game series has been reborn with every installment, and it hasn't made any further progress. And then, of course, they venture into action games. You have garbage like Stranger of Paradise, which completely flopped. The sales numbers were abysmal. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe the launch day sales of Stranger of Paradise were like 200. Nobody cares. And so now we're back with the main series. The game has failed to evolve. There are games that have come out like Octopath Traveler that do what Final Fantasy do 10 times better because the developers actually care. The developers aren't beholden to the almighty dollar. They're passionate about their product. This game, if you couldn't tell, by the 16 at the end of it, is an oversaturated, dragged out, stubborn, will not die piece of dilapidated dog shit, and it's time to take the motherfucker out to pasture. Final Fantasy needs to be taken out back, shot in the motherfucking head, buried 10 feet deep, never to return. That's one for the old school fans. But here's one for the new school fans. The Final Fantasy people who claim to like the new games as well, you're full of shit because there is not a single modern Final Fantasy game released in the last 10 years that another game has not done better, that another game has not conquered better. Final Fantasy failed to evolve. Final Fantasy failed to adapt. Final Fantasy is for those with IQs lower than room temperature with the air conditioner on. If you're part of that class, if you can't wait for the next Final Fantasy, if there's drool coming out of your mouth, pre-cum coming out of your dick, and you are chomping at the bit to get your hands on Final Fantasy 16, you're a clown. You're a fool. You're the punchline to a joke that's been played on you over 16 times because you know your dumbass bought all the spin-offs. I almost threw up in my mouth when they remade that garbage-ass Final Fantasy VII. That game, the original, overhyped, probably the most overhyped game next to Portal and next to Half-Life 2. Final Fantasy VII OG. But the remake, not only did I actually throw up in my mouth, I started to gouge my eyes out because I could not stand the sight of this franchise clogging up time, money, and resources when there are hungry young developers out here with passion, with innovation, and with creativity. 3 things you'll never find in a Final Fantasy game, okay? Let's get it straight. The Final Fantasy was supposed to be final over 20 years ago, But I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that this long, drawn-out, will not end fantasy dies today. And that's why I'm starting the official hashtag boycott Final Fantasy 16 movement. Fuck this game. Fuck anybody who supports it. Final Fantasy is trash. And if you're playing this game, if you're excited for it, even if you took the time to download the demo, you are the enemy. You are detrimental to the video game industry this day and age. I want nothing to do with you. Get off my channel and go away forever.